Hi guys, it's Angie. It's Angelica Yingst. I am here for your August Earth Medicine reading. Sorry, I'm a few days late. I had vacation, but I'm just kind of showing up here. Hopefully, I can see people popping in. So I'm gonna try to get this going. All right. Sorry guys, it's taking me a minute. I'm gonna put you all on my phone so I can see who's commenting. Hi Pooja, hi Sammy Joe. I'm going to do this Earth Medicine reading. I do this every month. If you haven't seen this before, I'm a tarot reader and an Earth Medicine practitioner, so I kind of do a reading for the whole month, and we talk about astrology and all that kind of stuff. It's definitely woo-woo territory, so if you're not into it, you can move on. And if you start spamming my people, I will block you immediately. Hi, Jay. Oh, God, Jay, we do need to see each other. Aw, thank you, Pooja. How's everyone feeling with Chiron retrograde? That's a good one. I don't know. It's interesting. So Chiron's the wounded healer. And when we're in retrograde, we really have to think about, how we're working with our own wounded self and all of those things. And I'd love to hear anything that you have to share. Thanks, Dave Gilberry. Dave and I went to high school together. He's the cutest. Hi, Belinda. All right. So let's talk about some of the astrology because I do not have all day, unfortunately. I would love to just chat all day, but okay, let's look at all the stuff. So if you're feeling a little weird, Jay said I'm been moody and irritable. I'm going to put his little comment up. Yeah, this makes sense to me. 3 planets change signs at the end of July, so the beginning of August should feel a little weird. So Mercury moved to Leo, which we're in a Leo sun. Mars moved to Virgo. And now Virgo is a great place for Mars to move into, except it prioritizes your health. So, if you're having health concern, things are coming up. That's kind of why this is really focused, and it goes all the way into September. Hi, Deborah. And then Jupiter moved in from Pisces, which it was like super happy. I don't know if you remember my last readings or if you saw it, but it's like, let's have lots of hugs and live in this like watery wonderland of emotional stability. Now it's in Aquarius. So, yeah, being in Aquarius is a little different. Not to say that Jupiter in Aquarius is a bad thing, but last time Jupiter, so okay, let's also say Jupiter is the center of growth and expansion and good fortune. Like miracles happen in Jupiter. Jupiter is a wonderful, like lovely sign. Then, or planet. Then Saturn is kind of a disciplinarian. And both of these right now are in Aquarius. So Aquarius is an air sign. It's pretty heady. So it rules like science and policy and communities and stuff like that. So we're also have 2 Aquarius full moons in the summer. So we had one at the end of July, and we're going to have another one in August. So when Saturn first entered Aquarius, March of 2020, the world went into lockdown. I just wrote this down so I remember. In December 2020, Saturn and Jupiter were both in Aquarius during the Great Conjunction, and that's when the Moderna vaccine came out. So now we have both of them in Aquarius again. And I'm not saying that's something like, but with Chiron being retrograde, this all happening, I think we're kind of see some progress with working with the COVID. It seems to be big events happen at these points where Aquarius is ruling Jupiter and Saturn at the same time. So something to just pay attention to. But this August, we're in a Leo sun until I don't even know when we change. I think it's the 22nd of August we change to Virgo. But we have the new moon in Leo. We always have the new moon in the same sign as the sun, right? So the new moon in Leo is on August 8th, which is also the Lion Gate. So the Lion Gate is a portal that opens every year. And it sort of like has all this possibility. There's a lot of strong, like attracting energy during that time. It's a really great time to do like intention setting. And then you have that new moon come in. It's going to be an awesome time. I'm doing a collective crystal grid healing, which I've done like every Lion's Gate for I don't know how long, but last year I didn't do it. But generally I do it, and I make this massive grid and activate everyone to it. And it's really time to set intentions. That's what we'll be doing on Sunday. So if you're in the Harrisburg area, go to the AltaView website if you want to sign up for it. I have a lot of the seats filled, but I can probably fit a few more in if you're interested. So, oh, Sammy Joe said, for me, the Chiron retrograde is bringing up a lot of childhood traumas that are finally ready to be healed. There feels like a lot of emphasis on working collectively with other healers as well. Yes, absolutely. The childhood traumas is a big one for Chiron because it deals with like the inside stuff of the healer, right? So, Jason, you mean I'm going to be like this for a month? Oh Lord, where's my oxygen gala? Maybe you might be. That's so funny. Oh, what day is it? It's August 8th, so it's on a Sunday that I'm doing this. Yeah, intention for love life would be a good thing right now. So anyway, I always kind of look at the astrology. Now, I'm not an astrologer, so I rely on other astrologers. So I rely on like Chani Nicholas is one of my go-tos. She's one of my favorites. And then I have other people that I kind of check out what they're writing and saying and sort of compile it from my own understanding of things. So that's how that happens. But let's talk about my specialty is doing tarot and looking at the earth medicine of this stuff. So let's look at the tarot. So the first tarot that fell out was the moon, and it fell out reverse. But you know, when we work with these as kind of archetypes, we work with both the shadow and the light aspects. So the moon as a guide tends to be the one that says like what is the thing behind the thing behind the thing. As Sammy Joe said, you know, what is the childhood like? What is the inner child healing like? What is going on with your own psyche, your own shadow? And when I say shadow and psyche, they're not interchangeable. Okay, psyche is, you know, that inner self. The shadow is the part we don't acknowledge, and that's like the stuff that comes out when we're not always aware of it. And that's the problem. Like when people talk about, oh, just get to know your shadow. We often don't know our shadow until it's triggered. Okay. So when someone says you need to do shadow work, what they're saying is you have a lot of triggers that are coming up that you do not seem to be aware of. So how do you recognize and work with the moon and the kind of shadowy work that the moon brings up? We work with it by noticing and being aware and curious about our triggers, you know, and what's emotionally triggering us or what's, you know, where that's coming from. It doesn't mean you are like fixed if you just notice it. You're just noticing it and acknowledging it. You know, when we talk about shadow work, it generally should be done with like a trusted therapist or someone who's trained in shadow work or who understands shadow and archetypes and things like that. One of the things about the way shadow work has kind of gotten exploited is that people really think, oh, I'm just going to write a quick journal about it and then be done. And that's not really how it works. Like many of us, especially like what Sammy Joe was talking about with the Chiron retrograde, you know, when we have childhood trauma, our shadow is always going to be there. You know, it's always lurking. If we have had neglect or abuse or childhood sexual abuse or whatever, we're always going to have triggers and shadow around that. Our goal is to get quicker at recognizing when we're triggered rather than that this is the reality, because that's where shadow gets really messy, is that we believe that the wound is the real thing instead of moving through like, oh, this is programmed in me, right? So we, generally the moon is asking us to think about and look at and pay attention to our shadows. Why? Okay, why do I know this with the moon? Oh gosh. Okay. So you can see that you have a dog and like a wolf or a coyote, or I guess it's a wolf. And then you have the lobster, right? And they're all howling at the moon. Whenever you have animals in tarot, it asks you to think about your animal nature. Now, the dog is a tamed animal, right? It's generally a pet, right? But the wolf is wild. So it's basically talking about you have these two aspects of yourself that are both dog like, they're both canines. One is tamed, and yet it still goes after the moon, right? They still will react to their animal nature. So you're being asked to look at how your animal nature is responding to things. The hurt animal, the the wounded animal. Okay, the lobster, which always in every tarot class we get a big kick out of the lobster, but it comes out of the depths of the water, meaning in the psyche you have this thing, this animal that also is rising up when the moon is bright, right? When the moon is coming up. And so it rises, and it, if you really look deeply at the lobster is an animal that recycles. It is a scavenger. It eats, what's left. So this is, my philosophy. Like, if I could have one thing that I think my work tries to emphasize, is that nothing is wasted. Okay. That we will recycle even our wounds and traumas to make it something useful that we can share and help another person. So I believe that the lobster rising is part of this indication. It's like, hey, I'm going to come up. You're going to see me. And I look scary. I got these big claws and I look like I'm going to scare you, but I can make these things useful. I can grow. And there is a protective shell around the lobster. So we always have to remember, what is the shell we're putting up where we're not allowing people through. When we get the moon and we work with the moon energy, we also work with these two pillars. We see these two pillars in the death card. And basically, they always represent, like, see the path goes through them. You're walking through a portal. And this is the portal to the dream world. So also dream work is really emphasized when we work with the moon. We want to pay attention to coincidences, to our dream life, to our journey life. Our symbolic world is going to be really important. And that sounds funny because many of us are like, well, of course I pay attention to that stuff here and there, but blah, blah, blah. But it's basically these three creatures talking to you, our dream life, our coincidences, our synchronicities. Have you ever turned and thought you saw something and then you realize, oh, it's just a tree, right? Oh, I think that's a monster. No, it's just a shadow of a tree. Or there's a boogeyman in the corner of my, there's a boogeyman in the corner of my room. Then you turn on the light and it's just a pile of clothes. This is kind of your psyche coming out, trying to talk to you. What are you afraid of? Afraid of being alone in my room at night, right? I'm afraid that someone's going to hurt me. These are normal fears, okay? So this is why walking into this dreamland and into the portal can be a really important part of working with the moon energy. So kind of working with understanding ourselves, our own triggers, our own shadows, our own psyche. Because the man on the moon here also combines the energy of the sun. So you can get enlightenment through this work. So really important stuff with the moon. When I was shuffling and I pulled the moon, the secondary one is the strength card fell out. Again, reversed. So like they both were reversed. But I feel like the strength card is the card of the Leo, right? It is a Leo card. And she comes in often to tell you about strength and how again, another animal on here, right? And she kind of is tamed, this really wild beast. It's the idea that strength isn't what we think it is, right? Strength isn't about being the strongest, the loudest, the most violent, the one that can rip you apart. It's understanding how to pull back with strength and come out when we need to come out, to hold our boundaries, but we don't always have to hold it with a lion. We can hold it with the goddess, you know, the earth goddess, the mother goddess. So she comes in with both. But with the reversal on it, I really think too that part of what we're dealing with the moon is this idea of vulnerability. And strength reverse kind of has that reputation of being like not strong, right? But the idea is, you know, embracing vulnerability can be a really important part of the work of the psyche, you know, that we can go into those modes when we respond to hurt or anger or fear, which are freeze, right? Like, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fight is obviously getting angry. Flight is cutting and running away from that. Freezing is just getting like deer in headlights and not knowing how to respond at all and just kind of shutting down, disassociating, so to speak. And the fawning is to fawn basically means to be like, oh, to flatter your abuser, right? To flatter and think that what you're going through is a good thing and be really, you know, in that place with it. We want to respond without being triggered in any of those ways. So when we get angry, we question it. Okay, are you angry or are you afraid? Are you angry or what's actually the thing behind the thing? Any of these, if you notice yourself wanting to like escape or run away, or that you feel like you have to tell the person how beautiful they are right in that moment, those are big triggers that we have to do some psyche work and pull back, you know, shadow work, so to speak. Jay said, is that the pillars? Oh, from the High Priestess. You know, the idea of pillars comes in with a couple different cards, so they're not supposed to be the same exact ones. The ones in the High Priestess are the Boaz and Joaquin. Those are the pillars in front of Solomon's. What do you call it? Not church, temple, Solomon's temple. And they're the black and white ones, but they have the same principle. So you're totally right. They usually have the yin yang kind of idea, like you're walking through these two different pillars. You see it on the High Priestess, the Justice card, this card, the Death card. There's a couple other ones where you'll see the two basically pillars, and you're walking through them. You're going through portals, right? So thanks for asking that question. Thank you, Deborah. Said, I love your glasses. Deborah said, I love that there's a lion in it. I know, so connected to Leo, right? Yeah. OJ said, the mental strength to face shadows and trauma. Yes, I love that too. We do need that mental fortitude. And that was the word that used to be the strength. It was fortitude. And that's an take on it, right? Because fortitude kind of has like they call them the medieval virtues, and there's temperance, strength, I forget the other ones, integrity maybe. So yeah, that kind of strength I like as fortitude too. So hi Patty from Georgia. Hi Kelly St. Clair. So with this work, I kind of pull some other cards to talk about how to support you during this month as you're working with some of this energy. And it was very interesting to kind of see what came up. So the first card I pulled was an herbal card, and we got red clover. We worked with red clover last month, but it comes up again for centering and grounding and getting to the heart of who you are. And that's sort of the work of the moon anyway. So a lot of people were asking me, like, how do you work with herbs? So you can just put, like, these are red clover. You can just, I love getting these little, you know, dishes when I find them at pottery shops or art fairs or whatever. They're usually really inexpensive, but they're great for altars. You can kind of put herbs or stones or whatever on them. You can make it into a tea if it's edible. Red clover is, so you can kind of work with that. I work with, this is the Maya Toll's Herbery book. Look at that. This is the card. I just thought you might want to see a little closer. I just love this card. You got bees, red clover, and the heart. Just love that so much. And I think that it's really important. She suggests working with it as a tea, I believe. I'm just gonna double check that. Yeah, it is a heart. It's an anatomical heart with the clover all around it. Um, she does like grounded energy with it. But yes, you can make tea and work with it. Again, grounding and centering, grounding and centering. So you're kind of working with those things. Hi, Karen. Yeah, I just think it's so beautiful. Erin said, beautiful card. I think so too. Wouldn't that make an awesome tattoo? I don't know. Melissa said, I love her books. I love her books too. She has a crystal one, animal one, and an herb one. And they're all wonderful. And I just pre-ordered whatever the next one is. And you know, there's part of me that just kind of wanted to shuffle them all together and just pull whatever. Hi, Denise Van Bregel, and just kind of pull them all together and pull them out. So we're working with red clover still, and we can see red clover everywhere. Yeah, Leah said, oh, nice. We have red clover all over. Exactly. I mean, this is part of, I think, the earth medicine path that we need to understand and walk, which is, you know, what's in our backyard. And it's so funny, like this card came up last month and I shuffled and shuffled and shuffled and came up again. I feel like we're still working with this red clover and spreading this energy of our heart-centeredness, our healing, the grounding and centering that we do. We can spread that out like the pollinators on here, right? So just really important, great work that we can do with red clover and thinking about how we take that medicine forward. I'm in the Northeast, so I'm in Pennsylvania, and I like to just look in my backyard for the medicine. I created a potting shed this year and have all these herbs drying that are from my yard that grew as quote unquote weeds. And that's I think, to me, the best part of working with plant medicine. Yeah, I should ask Martin to do that. Oh, Brianna said, how crazy, I pulled and focused on the same red clover card. Oh my gosh. So clearly, like, this is something happening. Oh, Mabel asked, who's the author you're talking about? Maya Toll. I'll write her name here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. She's so amazing. She's an herbalist. She has a couple of it only went up on YouTube, but here, let me write it here. Maya Toll. And this is her name, Maya Toll. She is really amazing. She's very heart-centered. She has a stand in Reading Terminal Market, I think, in Philly, and then one in Asheville, North Carolina. Her books look like this, and then they come in the back with the cards in the sleeve, and you just like rip them apart, which I like too. So yeah, she's wonderful. Okay, so we have the plant medicine for this month, and I pulled some crystals for this month as well. So the first crystal that came is hematite, another grounder. Working with, I mean, this talks about working with it for concentration, but hematite, to me, this is botryoidal hematite. It works with deep grounding. It's very protective. I use hematite in the energy field when I'm working on people to kind of strengthen their energetic field, their auric field. So I'll put like 14 in the energy field, and it just really is such a grounder and strengthener of the energetic field. It helps you keep your energy your own. And that's part of the moon medicine too, which is, hey, you know, when we're triggered, what usually happens is we work, like we project out to somebody else. So we'll say, hey, you did this thing to me, when actually it's us interpreting it that way from our wounding, right? Feeling abandoned, feeling lost, feeling unsure, you know? So the wonderful thing about hematite is it helps us keep our energy our own. and to kind of deal with our own stuff. So it helps give you that step back that we might need if we're feeling triggered. So, oh, Deborah said, I used it yesterday on a client. Cool. That is so cool. Jay said, I've been drawn to my hematite necklace lately, but wearing my garnet a lot. Well, that's funny that you say that, because the second stone that we picked this month is garnet. So garnet and hematite together are wonderfully grounding and protective. This is a natural garnet dodecahedron. You can see it's pretty big. This is how they grow out of the earth. Now this one's polished, so that's why it looks a little shiny, but the natural dodecahedron sides are natural. And garnet is so very protective. The wonderful thing about garnet, it works on so many different levels. And I'm one of our crystal coaches at Hibiscus Moon, and they always joke that I'm always suggesting garnet, but it does really resonate in a couple places. First, it's really great for ovarian health. It's good in the sacral chakra to work with, especially childhood sexual abuse, but any kind of sexual trauma. Any trauma, first of all, is wonderfully supported by garnet. It's very grounding. I even remember there's this wonderful meditation that Sage Goddess did when I studied with her, where she would visualize putting on a garnet belt around your hips as a protective like shield. And so I love that visualization. That's how garnet feels. It's not only beautiful, but incredibly protective. It also resonates really well in the heart. So if you're doing heart healing along with this trauma work, this can be a really wonderful guide and ally. Garnet just feels good. Oh my gosh, Melissa. Wow, I've worn my garnet hematite bracelets for the past few days. Yeah, it's just, they work really well synergistically. And as you know, I just pull cards, and sometimes I'm just blown away by the amount of cards or amount of crystals that synergize so well in these. So garnet and hematite are the two beginning ones. It also really helps with strength, bravery, courage, all of those things. So, garnet's a good one to pull out right now if you're wanting to work with some of these ideas of strength and stuff. And doesn't it look like this card too? I mean, you've got this garnet, just feels like the heart there. So anyway, then the third crystal that I pulled was amethyst. And so amethyst works well as a protective stone. A lot of people think of it as being a really strong crown or third eye, and it is. It definitely is. It is basically the stone of acceptance, discernment, strength. But you have a good psychic protector in amethyst as well. So we have a lot of these protective stones coming in with garnet, hematite, and amethyst. So they just work protection in different ways. Hematite's very grounding. Garnet's very heart-centered protective. It has a great goddess kind of strength energy. Then the amethyst comes in as a psychic protector. This is the stone of sobriety. I felt like when I pulled this, it was also, hey, if you feel like you need to detox, this is a great time, especially this week as we lead up to the new moon on the 8th. This is a really great time to shed some of those addictive behaviors that can get us really stuck in a shame loop. It's not really about what we're doing addictively. It's just about the fact that, we have shame around something, or we're avoiding some feeling. That's where that moon energy comes in also to heal. So we've got a wonderful 3 stone guides: hematite, amethyst, and garnet. So let's talk about our animal guides. What was interesting is that I picked an animal card, and I was like, nah, I don't really want to work with that. And then I picked another deck and got the same card. So we're working with it. But hold on, Jay had a couple. Said, I remember my first journey with you, and my goddess guide gifted me a garnet wrist cuff. I wish I could find a real one. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Jay said, amethyst by the bed and wearing amethyst for days. Wow, that's so cool, Jay. You are so connected. Oh my gosh, you guys are so amazing. All right, so let's talk about the animal guide. So the first, I picked Beetle. So I don't always like working with insects. I find them difficult to connect with because they tend to work in swarm. So it's more like a community collective. But the Beetle would be an individual guide. Okay. And so the second one I picked, I used the Susan Seddon Belay deck. And I got the Scarab. So what I found interesting about her is, so she always has like the description on the back. The Scarab is about regeneration. It's symbolized in Egypt, the great celestial bodies, and the Scarab was said to roll the sun around across the sky. The belief rose from the Scarab's habit of eating a piece of ox dung, or shaping a piece of ox dung into a bowl into which it laid its eggs and rolling it about, generally from east to west. Scarab-like jewels are often placed in the tombs of deceased relatives to give them power of the sun and to facilitate their resurrection. So it's funny that we got the beetle, which I don't necessarily think of a sun animal, and we got the moon. So we're both working with that light and dark. It's really, really amazing. So yeah, we're working with Beetle, Scarab, the same one. Now, Beetle, is a symbol of integrity. It works with that, obviously it makes shit into something useful, right? It puts its eggs into it, and that's how its babies are born. It helps you kind of make changes that align to your personal beliefs. So I just have to say this. When we talk about working with Beetle, which works with poop, dung, shit, there is an aspect of turning, shit into something useful. So making the negative into something positive. I've been working with this energy for 2 weeks now, just really taking something that feels like a shit situation and looking at the positive and making it, like, turning it for myself to have that real deep experience of understanding and trying to see things from the perspective of light instead of what I could see it as, the shit, right? So I think, like, this is no mistake that we're working with Beetle this month. Deborah said, I've been connecting with Beetle, and she said she too has been making shit situation into something good. Sammy Joe said, I wonder if you got Beetle or a swarm because of the Chiron retrograde. Possibly. I mean, I think that's a really good thought. Probably. I know that this journey is going to be in the lower world that we'll do with Beetle. So Sammy Joe said, like, great coming together of light workers. It's interesting. A lot of shamanic practitioners don't work with insects as much. I have done a few journeys. I have a fire ant journey working with anger. So this is going to be about, transformation and figuring out how to make something that you find or are given into something useful and important. I have a feeling there's going to be some really deep healing going on with this Beetle journey. So I do have subscriptions on my website. If you are interested in journeying with me, they're monthly subscriptions. You can pick either a full moon reading, a new moon reading, or a journey, or some combination. You can do all three or two of the three. I am kind of putting I used to also do a personal reading at the full moon, new moon. I'm a little busy in August, so I'm kind of putting those aside for a little bit and then just doing the general readings. But that's all on my website. You can check out. It's just angieyingst.com, and then you look under memberships, and you'll kind of see what I offer. I also offer one-offs on my journeys there. And so we'll be journeying with Beetle. I'm excited about this. I don't know what to expect. It's going to be interesting. Oh, Aaron said, the transformation of moving our shadows come to light in deep ways is such a great journey. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to work with Beetle. I love this painting. Look at it. It has wings. It's very Egyptian. And I'm kind of wondering if we're not going to see something like this, like some real transformation into light, because the idea, I love the idea of the beetle pushing the sun across the sky. It just, to me, it is such a amazing visualization. Like I can see the beetle pushing the dung ball, right? But pushing the light, it's just an interesting jump for me. Trying to think if I have anything else with Beetle that I want to say. Oh, this is something that Jessica Swift says in hers. She says, Beetle is associated with high sensitivity. So if you're honest and adhere to your personal truths, you will reap life's beautiful rewards. What goes around comes around, and like attracts like. So another great, that great energy of like attracting what you need. So, I love it. Resurrection. Yes, Deborah. Perfect. Well, guys, I'm at the end of my energy reading. You can always come back here for the month. And, if you're interested in doing more, just check out my website. And I will talk to you soon. Hi, Donna. Aw, thanks, Pam. It's nice to see your name. Oh, Jay said, I wonder if Anubis will make an appearance since she'll be around his realm. Maybe. I sometimes work with Isis, so I kind of wonder, once you start walking into the Egyptian realm, you just get so many cool things coming. So thanks, Leah. All right. Mwah. Bye, you guys. Love you. I will talk to you next month. Bye.